since Dr. No is supposed to be hitting cinemas November of 2020, I thought this would be the perfect time to go over all 24 Bond films leading up to No Time to Die. And of course, we're starting off with the original Dr. No. So Dr. No is a very interesting film for me because some people really love it, and some people think it's okay, and some people even hate it. Now, why I don't hate Dr. No, I think it's a very watchable film. I don't really think it's that great. Now, the film just kind of feels very bland, very stale, very dated at a lot of points. And there's a lot of sequences in this film that definitely do work, and I definitely do think there is some interesting points in the film. But a lot of times, this film is just extremely pointless and not really that interesting as a film. But let's talk about work. Sean Connery's performance in this film, I think, is easily the best part. This is really the only thing that really does work in this film is Sean Connery's performance. He's suave, he's cool, he's intelligent, but he's also pretty intense and pretty brutal if he has to get down in the nitty gritty. And I think his performance is really good. And the first time we see him and he says the classic line, and it's just perfect, and it really does sell this character. Dr. No as himself, I think the performance is very great. I think the setup for the character and kind of with the whole metal hands and everything, but really as a villain itself, I feel like he's very underused. He doesn't really come into like an hour and like 20 minutes of the film, around there, and he just doesn't really do much in the film. Even the final showdown between him and Bond is just very lackluster and not really that intriguing as a whole. But back on the good, the music in the film I think is really good. Why sometimes very loud and very rambunctious and just kind of very huge and loud and very big. I think the music itself really does work. The action in this film I think is one of the more hit or miss things about this film, definitely, because it's really there's some moments of action that I'm like, okay, that's fine. But overall, the action I find to be extremely disappointing, especially the first car chase of the series. It's a very kind of just lackluster car chase sequence that just doesn't really work at a lot of points. It just has that backdrop with the projector screen behind Connery, and it just really doesn't sell me. As I'm supposed to feel this intensity as the first car chase of the series, but I really don't. It just feels very that intensity just kind of gets detract from it. The Bond girl in this film I think is very good. Her and Connery have great chemistry. Again, she doesn't really come in much, and she doesn't really do anything much in the film to be then eventually connect in the film, but she definitely does do good. The direction here, I think, is solid at a lot of times. There are some really great sequences, like when the guy is driving Bond, and we learn that he's like the spy, and Bond has to take him out. That's a really cool sequence of action and kind of intensity. This film works better if it's just an espionage spy thriller. And really, this is no discredit to the actual film. It's kind of just how the series has set. The Bond series now is very big, very high energy, and even the slow films like Skyfall still has a lot of scenes to keep you interested and keep you engaged in part of the film. And this film is just it's slower paced, but really my main problem with this film is very uninteresting. The plot doesn't really go anywhere. It's just kind of an uncontrived plot with this character doing that thing and this character doing that thing, and really having a lack of villain through half of this film and just hearing his name throughout the film and not really seeing the villain is extremely lackluster and kind of just makes you feel, okay, I guess that's what it is. The action sequences are very lackluster, and also there's quite a bit of jump cuts in this film, which a lot of the older Bond films and just older films from like the 60s and 50s and used a lot of jump cuts, and a lot of the jump cuts are extremely noticeable. And I'm like, if there was a way you could have done that or edited around the scene, but no, let's just put a jump cut everywhere, and it just kind of doesn't work for me as a fan. This film definitely did start a race, and there's some stuff that does work. The M and Moneypenny, the Bond and Moneypenny Money Penny dynamic really does work. The Bond and M dynamic works, and kind of the little gadgets that are in this film work. But there's just some really lackluster, like, what the heck kind of moments, like the very obvious stunt double in this film. I guess this is back in the day when people didn't really care if people saw the stunt doubles or thought they were hiding it, even though they weren't. And I can say that was extremely funny. The tarantula sequence. Why I think it's a very when it's actually tarantula on there, I think it's a very visually and pleasing sequence. But what I don't like is the director said the stuntman Bob Simmons was such in danger and they needed medics and so many things. And I'm just like, tarantulas aren't poisonous unless you're allergic to them. They're not gonna really harm you as much, and I just found that extremely disappointing. This film was definitely the cheapest budget Bond film, and you can definitely tell this film is much more. As I said, it's much more of an espionage spy film. And if you like this film, more power to you. I wish I could love this film as much as a lot of people. I don't know. I don't really get how this can be somebody's favorite Bond film. I really don't. Because this film is just extremely slow. The plot is extremely convoluted at times. The action sequences are lackluster. Connery gives a fantastic performance. And there's some really gorgeous scenery and locations. But other than that, the film just is really just lackluster and not really that interesting. And I'm going to give DR.NO a B-. So those were my thoughts on the first Bond film, DR.NO. What do you think of this film? Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, you guys can hit that like button and subscribe and hit the post notification bell so you guys never miss when I upload another video. Tune in probably a couple weeks where I'll give you guys my thoughts on From Russia with Love. And you guys can also check out my podcast. I do every other Tuesday morning with a friend of mine. It's called the 2 Peas in a Pod podcast. You guys can also check out my Instagram at General_Daniel77. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. General out.